It is a complicated story. Yeah, it is. Well, and it jumps through a number of phases. So we pick up the story with my character, Dave, who is essentially a man child. He's somebody who hasn't grown up, who hasn't taken responsibility for his actions, and is very good at blaming other people for things not working out in his life. So we jump in with this guy. We watch him sort of stumbling through life ineffectually. And then we meet his sister and his sister's child, Dave's nephew. And it's this little relationship that will follow pretty closely through the film. Dave goes with his nephew to school and meets his nephew's teacher, Miss Caroline, played by Lupita Nyong'o, who's just unbelievable. My character falls madly in love with her immediately, wants to be near her as desperately as possible, and volunteers to go on the school excursion with the children, which should be his worst nightmare, but for the beautiful teacher. And while they're on the excursion, there's a zombie event. And I'm not sure how many minutes in that all happens, but from there, we're in sort of zombie territory. Yeah. I mean, working with an Oscar winner, you're obviously, like, I remember sitting with Abe in the rehearsal room, and she was about to arrive and meet her for the first time, and just not being quite sure what to expect. And she just breezed into the room with this huge smile on her face, really genuinely excited about the story, which is the only reason for her to be, down in Australia, bottom of the earth, kind of slightly different working conditions, probably than she's become accustomed to. But she was excited about the story. She was excited about what we were trying to do, and immediately just applied herself to how could we best tell this story. And that generosity of spirit kind of is how I think of her. She was so well prepared. She had all her homework done. Not only had she researched, how to play a teacher, but she'd researched specifically a kindergarten teacher, and then more specifically again kindergarten teaching in Australia. What was that like? Because the film is set in Australia. She was just ready to go. And then, the kids met her as Miss Caroline. They were introduced as Miss Caroline. She was there set up with a teaching board ready to go, and she kind of gave them a class. So they saw her as that character right from the get-go. And we worked together to keep the kids kind of happy and excited, and lent on each other a bit throughout filming. She's amazing. Yeah. Basically, the idea was to just see how far we could push things. Josh is such an incredible performer, and he has a real background in improvisation, and a really twisted, dark sense of humor. So Abe, myself, Josh, we met up on a weekend just to kind of do our own blocking of the fight and just figure it out. And basically, we were like kids in a candy store. We just went further and further and further, and that's what you see in the film is what happens if a bunch of people get together and nobody says no. And we really went for it and really amused ourselves tremendously, and hopefully the audience too. I mean, I have a favorite gag, which is some of the most, which is perhaps the most inappropriate one, which involves a school photo. I don't know if you remember it, and Dave being a pig, and I won't ruin it for the audience, but that is my favorite. But emotionally, there's a beat where Felix, who is the character that Diesel plays, who plays the nephew character, who's been told that he's weak and, less than for a lot of the film by some of the other kids because he has food allergies and he's a smaller child, has a real hero moment, and it's a big payoff that's kind of Star Wars themed, and I love it every time.